Welcome to Numb Bills Fan Podcast for episode number 142. I'm your host, unfortunately, David Palermo. Find me on the Twitter and everywhere, Instagram, at NumbBillsFan. Also, you can shoot me an email, dave@numbbillsfan.com, and check out numbbillsfan.com if you want to check out past episodes. Pretty easy. We have some stuff up there in our Etsy store if you want to support the podcast. Also brought to you by Grandstand Sports Network. They got me on the sidelines at training camp. Thank you so much. Shout out to Eric at cover1.net. As always, check out the best Bills analytics ever. And make sure you check out Grandstand Sports Network, where pretty much everything is a time-slotted podcast. You should check it out. Great way to find new podcasts to subscribe to. And as always, subscribe to us on iTunes, wherever you find podcasts. Numb Bills Fan Podcast, so it's pretty easy. Make sure you subscribe. If you want to leave a rating, I do have giveaways coming up. An announcement here for number 142. I'm giving away a season ticket. So anybody who sends a screenshot in with a review of the podcast on iTunes, you will be entered to win a season ticket. Unfortunately for you, not a season ticket, but a... Mike, don't laugh, man. This is very serious right now. This is so serious. But you'll be just entered to, unfortunately, sit next to me at a game.
You'll get a ticket with Dave.
Yeah,
congratulations. You're really selling it high here, buddy. Continue your read. That's killing everybody listening, but go on. I'd work on that.
Well, the piece of shit to the left of me is named Mike Smith. We'll get to him later. And don't forget, we're brought to you by Punch Drunk Sports. And if Mike keeps tapping, I'm going to stab his eye out. So keep tapping, dude. Just, like, people don't fucking hear that. Anyway, so, brought to you by Punch Drunk Sports. We are the podcast that covers the Bills officially for Punch Drunk Sports. So, again, at Punch Drunk on Twitter. Subscribe to their podcast. Great podcast. 3 comedians. Sam Tripoli has a new podcast out called Tinfoil Hat Podcast. Pretty rad. He also has a comedy album called The Diabolical. Jason Tebow, we just had on last podcast number 141. Please check that out. He works for DirecTV's Red Zone channel, and he's awesome. He's also on Punch Drunk Sports podcast, and he has a special coming out called The Red State, or Back to the Red State, Return to the Red State. Sorry, Jay. And also Ari Shafir is the other comic who has a special Double Negative on Netflix. Check them out. And finally, to my left is an old friend. Don't even cut me off. Unfortunately, I met this guy years ago, and he got me into playing fantasy sports, and I was like, "Oh, that shit's dumb. I ain't doing it." Well, let it be known, my second year playing, I came home with the trophy in the standard league, and I got that. Our one friend Sean Timmerman, if he's listening. If you remember Sean Timmerman, you down with JPP, the Giants fan we've had on the podcast. Send him your best wishes. He got in a car accident type thing, and got hit by some old person, I guess. So try to call him today to see if you'd want to come on. So I don't know what his deal is. So if you talk to him, tell him we said hello. And won his league, but I got him to transfer over thanks to Mike to a PPR. So this is the fantasy expert to me. Is Mike Smith, and by expert, it doesn't mean he's really a fucking expert. He just obsesses over it. He has a child and a beautiful wife named Francesca, and I guess on a drive to New Hampshire. What did you do, Mike?
7.5 hours of preparations. Fantasy Talk Radio. It's what you should be listening to, Dave.
Remember the time we had preparations for the podcast that said talking in the fucking mic? And don't sit too far away from it.
Dave.
Why don't you just move your seat up?
We're working on it, okay? Like I said, we're working on it.
You're just ruining the setup here. Oh, my God. Pull this out. You're just ruining life. Okay. Well, now that we got the cables back together, thanks, Mike.
And Dave's incredibly long intro is done.
Look, if you guys haven't figured it out, press your fast forward button to about the 3-minute mark. I kind of try to do it that way so it's not a pain in your, your hole. So Mike follows fantasy sports like no other, and honestly, he has crushed me in Madden so many times, and there's relentless stories and things, and this guy happened to call me today. I was in my van listening to something, and I was like, wait, Mike's calling. Let me put on my Bluetooth headphones, sip my coffee, and take this call. And I thought it'd be a good idea to have Mike on.
Appreciate that, Dave. Appreciate that.
So, Michael.
Yes, David. What do you got for me?
Tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your thoughts of fantasy sports? Why are you into it?
I love fantasy sports. I mean, it's just something you can connect to. I like watching the games, and this is just a little extra on top. And then also there's a little incentive with fantasy sports when you win. You know, that's why we brought you in, Dave. We need as many of Dave's in any league as we possibly can get. So, you know, Dave, backdrop to Dave in this fantasy league he's in with me, 16 teams. 2 hours before the draft, Dave decides to say, oh, the draft, I'm not doing it this year. You know, all you fantasy goers know like how hard it is to fill a league in general, let alone 2 hours before the draft. Can't make it. So the league is going crazy because I just sent a tweet. 5 minutes later, I'll do it. So, you know, unfortunately, good friend I am, gave him all the literature he needed to have a good draft. Unfortunately, his running back got hurt.
I'm pretty stoked about my draft.
Yeah, until David Johnson got hurt.
So I had the number 1 pick, and I'll let you come back. And I had the number 1 pick, okay? And I'm on way to this draft, I swear. I put on the Fantasy Football Guys. I personally love their podcast. I like to get them on at some point, actually. And this year, with the Grandstand Sports Network thing, getting on the sidelines for the Bills, I mean, honestly, there's so many things going on. I want to, contrary to popular belief, I want to be a professional. If I'm representing somebody and representing myself, I want to get the best coverage I can get. And really, I was so overwhelmed that fantasy sports just kind of slipped my mind. And usually I just stream on the information podcasting at work with podcasts at work. But when I'm taking off of work to cover a sports team of the Bills, it's kind of like sucks. So I can't really get the it's great, but I can't get the fantasy stuff in. I tried to bail. Sean, who was my partner, who we talked about earlier, he bailed, and you know, I was kind of left in the dust. So I had the number 1 pick, David Johnson. I took because I figured that Bell not being in camp, I don't want to deal with hamstrings. I don't want to deal with the soft tissue injuries because I don't trust that they train. They might train as hard, but they're in the same regimen. I don't know. I don't like them training on their own. So, point being, I heard one name, Kareem Hunt. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to target this dude coming back through because it's Andy Reid's offense. And a lot of people already did their fantasy drafts by the time dude in front of him got hurt. So, which is where. So, it's like, for me, we've seen successful running backs with Andy Reid. I'm like, I got to get this guy. So, I have Kareem Hunt. Oh, sorry, Mike just got a phone call, and
busy guy.
He's also a producer. Told me to get to my point faster. Don't fuck yourself. Anyway, sorry, Mike, you're still here. So I picked up Kareem Hunt, and he is the only thing holding my, my shit together, frankly. And here comes Mike, and I told him, hey man, let's not screw each other this year in fantasy sports. Let's kind of, I figure maybe after a few years not dealing with each other with these trades and stuff. And I'm the kind of guy where I like my draft. I do a lot of research, and I didn't this year. And this year, I'm still going to stay with who I pick. Like, I got Rex Burkhead. I am not dropping him because I think he's a guy that's going to, when he comes back, you're going to hear about him. I got Kobe Fleener, who Mike's ripping on me about, who, last I checked, Saints tight ends always get targets. So, like, I don't... It's a different kind of draft, but here comes Mike with some hokey trade offer.
Fantasy advice for those listening: don't ride your draft to the doom. Dave is on the verge of going 1-3 because he plays yours truly this week. So don't draft and be like, well, I drafted these players and now you have to hope for expectations. If someone's offering you a good deal that's going to make your team better, you take it. Even if that means you have to give up the best player. Because in Dave's situation, he didn't have any depth. His star player went down, so he's very thin. His number 1 player, Kareem Hunt. Number 2 beyond that, Demaryius Thomas. And then he's starting 3 tight ends. Clay, Fleener. And who's the last one, Dave?
Hold on, let me load up my
The fact that he's starting a third tight end and he doesn't have Gronkowski,
Dude,
Kelsey, or Ertz is reason for alarm. Now, granted, Dave's kind of...
Dog, you got to explain the format of the draft.
16 teams, guys, and we've dulled down the value of tight ends and running backs, so you only need to start one. So you can start 4 tight ends if you want. You can start 3 running backs, 2 wide receivers. Whatever combination, you need 5. And at most you can do is 3 running backs.
You can only do one. You don't have to start a tight end now. Make that clear. You don't
do not have to start a tight end. You don't need a tight end at all.
I love that rule, by the way. Why is that?
It's because there's not enough quality tight ends to suit a 16-team league.
Exactly. So somebody gets to jump. So for me, my theory here is this. All right. Going into this year, I ended up drafting David Johnson right off the bat, and then I ended up taking, because I had the number 1 pick, so you got to figure all the way back around. I took Kareem Hunt. I forgot who I took after, but I believe it might have been actually Demaryius Thomas, if I'm not mistaken. And like the guys I have, dude, late I picked up Jordan Matthews really late because I just figured it's another number 1 on the board. In a 16-team league, you got to just kind of look at number 1s. Years ago, I picked Danny Amendola, made the playoffs, and it was really risky to take Aaron Rodgers in that league, number 4 overall, and I had your brother as a partner. But, dude, he balled out, and Aaron Rodgers crushed. And it's like, I mean, I have Kenny Britt, I got Jordan Reed, I got Matt Forte, which was just a pickup that I think somebody picked up or dropped for me. So I got Marquise Goodman. And it's like, I don't know, it's just kind of like looking at starters and who's going to get targets. I got Charles Clay really late, and I have Jamal Charles I picked up. I'm just kind of like, I'm in like this hodgepodge. I have Demaryius Thomas, Hunt. I really believe in Carr because if his receivers don't drop the ball, I'm not watching the Raiders, but I'm hearing that Amari Cooper's having a lot of drops. Like, what's that situation about if we could hit that? My point is just, in the 16-team league, I kind of feel like I don't want to drop guys a little bit too early because they really might transform into something, especially a Rex Burkhead. He's been out. Are you telling me that Belichick is going to mind that because now we can just add a fucking wrinkle when Burkhead comes back? Do you follow me?
Burkhead had value, but the backfield's so congested back there that Burkhead's value is minimized. If he was on a different team, it'd be a different situation.
So you would drop him?
I would drop Burkhead, but I mean, in a 16-team league, there's not a lot of, availability out there past the wire. And like I said, you have players that you definitely should upgrade upon, but there's just not much out there. And that's why you're going to get whooped come Sunday when my team rolls into town.
So explain to people what your trade offer was to me and really make the sale to me. Like really, if you were to sell your trade offer to me, and you're being honest and honest friend, would you say you are? Because this is supposed to help me out so much, right?
What I was offering, which because Dave doesn't want it, now he's got to just watch these guys go off that I would project. I offered him Mixon and
who's he? Explain who he is.
Mixon is the running back for the Cincinnati Bengals. He was the one that had that domestic incident. He slid down in the draft. Everyone was shocked that
I
the
have
Bengals
no asshole policy on my team. Clearly, you didn't see that on my profile.
Well, anyways, beyond that, he was in a backfield, committee backfield, and that's the way it was for the first week. Second week, third week, he takes over carries. Fourth week and beyond, he's going to be the guy. With Cooks and Mixon, although I was asking for Hunt, who is the number 1 fantasy player right now, you got to temper your expectations with Hunt. He's got over 100 fantasy points in our league through 3 weeks. He would be on pace for over 500 fantasy points in the season. It's not going to happen. He's not going to continue to put up those numbers. I'm not saying he's not going to be a top 5 back at this season. He might even still be the number 1 back by the time the season ends. But at the end of the day, he's not going to continue this tear where he's putting up 30 points a game.
Son, don't be jealous. And you know what then? You're right. And that's why you shouldn't have wanted him. Because he's not going to hold it up. There's no reason that you should want him.
See, now,
and there's no reason that every time we're hanging out and you're sending me a text, you just got to bring it up.
Unlike Dave's team, my team has a different situation.
So why are you worried about it? That's what I want to know. Like, if he's so bad, here's what happens: is Mike gets what I call fantasy boners. He gets so fucking hard when he listens to like Sirius XM radio and they're just talking fantasy. And he's probably found all sorts of fantasy football podcasts. And he is the guy I love to get information on guys about. That said, he's also somebody who's taken Ryan Fitzpatrick in the 7th round of a draft.
A guy can put up fantasy numbers. I don't need him to win football games. I need him to put up 15 points or more on my fantasy
Ryan Fitzpatrick in the 7th round. I'm laughing like an idiot. All right, anyways.
So
you don't got to be shy. You don't got to be shy that I'm the guy that gets
Dave
laughed
wants to know why
in the draft
I would
room
offer,
and I win the league. It's okay. 2nd year in Sean's league. Oh, you're going to take wide receivers in running back draft league? Yep, won the shit. Fred Jackson won that year for me when he was on his MVP pick. Just saying, man.
How long ago was that?
I got a ring.
How long ago was that?
When was your last championship?
After the one you won. After the one you won.
Yo, somebody is at my house. Actually, I don't think so. My dog's just going crazy.
Well, unlike Dave, I have a different situation. See, where I have depth and talent and he doesn't, I don't know who to start. So when you're in a situation when you have Adam Thielen on your bench and you can't play him because your starters are better than he is, you have to upgrade. So when I see somebody like Dave who has no depth, you offer them a trade. It's a 2-for-1. You're bettering your team, they're bettering their team because they get a better floor. I mean, because if Kareem Hunt doesn't go off, those tight ends, those are boomer bust players, and you can't start 3 boomer bust players and expect to win every week. And that's what we're trying to do, win every week.
So what about consistency? I argue for consistency.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Do you think you're getting consistency out of Clay, Fleener?
Yeah, I do, actually.
What kind of consistency?
Because here's the reason I drafted Clay. It's because I'm looking for pass targets. If you break down, here's the thing with fantasy sports that I don't think a lot of people look into. And a lot of people want to get attached to the draft metric ADP, average draft position. Because what ADP is really good for, in theory, which is people are trying to apply it for, is everybody's gone through a bunch of mock drafts, and this is who they've taken. I don't trust that isn't a computer algorithm either. I also don't trust that with the way things go, I mean, people get promoted that shouldn't get promoted. And not for nothing, I don't think that people are always taking in scheme change, and if it's the average fan, they're not. Because they're not that bright. If you've gone to a live fantasy football draft, you're around these people. These people are not necessarily the brightest, and they don't take in a lot of data because they might not even flick on a local radio show where they go a little bit more in depth than an ESPN clip. What I'm trying to get here at it is average draft position does not really mean as much. It does not hold as much weight to me as a normal person. And I think it's a metric that...
I don't know where we brought up ADP, but if we did, Charles Clay would have been drafted where he was drafted.
What I'm trying to say is you got to look at targets in this kind of thing, and it's a system change.
Durability.
And the average rate, why is it a bad pick? It's a system change.
It's a decent player, but I'm saying his durability issues over the year. When's the last time he played 16 games, Dave? When's the last time Jordan Reed played 16 games, Dave? How many players do you want on your team that fail to make it to the end of the season? Because you're already thin as it is. If these guys go down, now where are you going to be?
How can you think about injuries? I mean, do you not pick up Julio Jones then?
Well, Julio Jones wasn't available. Of course you take Julio Jones.
Oh, why?
He's going to give you 14 solid games.
Well, McCoy misses games too.
Again, they put up enough production in the games they play.
But if you got a guy that gets primarily most of the targets, which... probably has when Charles Clay have not looked at it. It's actually probably McCoy. I think McCoy leads the team with receptions right now for the Bills. I mean, look, Charles Clay is not that impressive, but is he not? I mean, you got 15.3 points for the Jets, and for Denver, 15.9 points. So week 1 and week 3, over 15 points. Against Carolina, 5 points. The offense sputtered.
And that's another thing. You got a player who is target dependent on a team with a solid defense, with an offense that ain't so solid. So when they don't have to throw, they're not going to if they're in the game, which this defense looks like they could be in a lot of games. So they're not going to just be down, getting blown out, just throwing the ball all over the field, trying to come back. And if that's the case, his value again goes down.
Look, he's getting more targets than Jordan Matthews. You know what I mean? It's like in a 16-team league, I think you got to be a little bit more unorthodox than normal, because the way we got on this is we're busting balls about a trade for Hunt, and I agree with that. We're also busting balls, why would you play 3 tight ends? I don't know. I really don't know, but I do know that, like, I do know one thing. I have Kobe Fleener, all right, the tight end for the Saints. Drew Brees throws so many yards. And the Saints have been down for so many years defensively. They got to throw the ball a lot. Why would you not take a tight end from Stanford College? I don't understand. Why is that like why wouldn't you start that guy to me?
It's not that I wouldn't. I wouldn't start him because I have better players. And
because like, again, another guy out of 3 weeks, 16.4 points. Week 2, 12.3 points. Week 3, 3.1. Against Carolina. They play again. So look at the trend here might be against Carolina. Whoever you're playing at tight end ain't doing shit. They're shutting down your tight end. So fantasy advice right out there. If you have a tight end playing the Carolina defense, don't play him. Because clearly, Kobe Fleener, who's a great pick, I mean, 16 points in the game, 12 points is consistent. I'm looking at consistency, man. If I could get guys who could put up 10 points a game. If Amari Cooper doesn't drop the ball as much, isn't it more touchdowns? Isn't it more yak yards? Isn't it more, more receptions in general to give an opportunity for Derek Carr to get?
And in a PPR, it's not that these players are bad. They're more flex players. So if you have a bye, you have an injury, you have something, it's nice to play these players. But in Dave's case, he's got to play these players every week, and that's a position you don't want to be in. That's a position Dave's in. Dave's happy with it. He'll defend this team, and he's going to go down with that sinking ship, okay? He's 1-2 right now, and like I said, he's about to play me. He's about to be 1-3, and
will you tell the world
in a 16-team league to get in the playoffs, you thus have to have one of the best records. He's already going to be 2 games out.
Do you realize last season, since I entered this 16-team league as a first season, I never made the playoffs or got my money back? And you're like the fantasy expert, and I believe you probably missed the playoffs more than I have since I entered the league. So I don't understand. Like, clearly, wherever you're getting your data is a little fucking skewed to the shitty.
Well, Dave.
By actually a little bit, a lot of it. I mean, we're talking playoffs.
We can talk playoffs, and we can look at the history, because I'm in the playoffs, too. But the thing
what do you
is,
mean you're in the what do you mean you're in the playoffs, too?
If you want to worry about what we did last year, that's fine. The year before, that's fine. But I'm worried about this year. You
sound like Jeff Fisher of fantasy football to me, dude.
Well, I was in the playoffs the last 2 years. I got knocked out in the second round last year. The first round the year prior.
I got paid 2 years ago. You know what I mean? I think shit. I think we got a couple $100 a piece, me and John.
Yeah, so I mean that's
I'm flying solo.
Dave's got a good thing going here because his team's so bad right now. He wants to talk about the glory days. Do you remember?
Well, you know what?
Do you remember a few years back?
Let's look at this matchup. All right, glory days. Go on your glory days. Go on your bullshit. And then I want to go head to head. Your starting lineup versus my starting lineup. Which is probably not, knowing you, it's going to change 7 times till the final one tomorrow. Okay?
Well, look, I haven't finalized my starting roster yet.
I can't believe we're playing each other. This is crazy. This is such a weird coincidence.
As of right now, if we look at the matchup, it's Trevor Siemian versus... Who's your quarterback? Carr?
No, go into your fucking glory days. I don't want to hear his shit right now. I'm not ready for this.
Look at the scoring preview here. Right now, you're 37% chance of victory. That's what CBS Sports, but they also say everyone's going to score. And that's
I don't even know where to go to the matchup. Where do I go to the matchup screen? That's hard winning championships. You know what I mean?
So this week,
how bad does it feel when I'm going to win when I don't even know how to use the fucking app, dude? Like, this is great. Well, CBS Sports is absolutely... I mean, I guess it's stepped up. It's not that bad. But I still can't find out where's my goddamn matchup. Home? Oh, okay.
Click that bar. Oh, there you go. Dave was
able
to pull up the matchup.
Right.
He's only been in this league for 8 years.
Yeah,
It's
and CBS
about
finally
he learned how to use the app.
All right, yo, Trevor Siemian versus Derek Carr. You're fucked on Derek Carr right there. Derek Carr's Doring Siemian. Have you ever, why wouldn't you pick up a Matt Stafford? Matt Stafford, I think is this. But anytime I turn on the TV and I see Matt Stafford, I just see fucking bombs. Fucking bombs. Why would you not take Matt Stafford? Out of all honesty, was he there, or did you target Trevor Siemian? What was it?
Dave, what I always do was I target quarterbacks late. I didn't get Trevor Siemian.
Do you realize they got to throw it to people who got to catch the ball, and you got to trust that ball is going to get released at the proper trajectory and velocity and timing, and they're not going to be an idiot? And so you're going to put your trust in Trevor Siemian over Derek Carr, or over a guy like Matt Stafford, who the number 3 targeted receiver had more receptions than any Bills player last year, and he retired from the Bills because that's how old he is and doesn't want to play football. And Anquan Bolden. So you're telling me Trevor Siemian is going to fucking knock out Derek Carr? Okay, so right there, I'm going to mark this down. It's a check in Dave's column.
Check for Rambling Joe over here.
Who cares? It's my fucking podcast. I can ramble all the fuck I want. Did you forget? Let me know when I come on yours, all right? Maybe I'll give you a fucking mic, and I'll give you a toilet to talk into.
I'll give you a call.
Piece of shit. Okay, check in my column. QB, bitch ass. All right.
Solid
Running back, Carson from Seattle, or Kareem Hunt. Okay, check in my column. All right, Travis Kelce versus Charles Clay.
Whose column you gonna check there? You're gonna just take the number 2 tight end and you're gonna check Charles Clay. You're gonna do the homer pick then? Give him the homer check.
No,
you want to take a check on that one?
I'm not stupid. I would love Travis Kelce on my team.
Okay.
Yo, why don't we talk about Travis Kelce?
See, unfortunately, Dave, you don't have anybody worth Travis Kelce. You don't want to give up the one player you have of value.
Yo, I'll give you David Johnson for Travis Kelce right now.
Any David Johnson owner would make that, and they're not going to get it.
Yeah, but he's going to come back. They're not going to scheme for him.
I wouldn't even trade you Samaje Perine for David Johnson right now, okay? Let alone Kelce, okay?
You act like
unless there's a kickback on this, unless there's, you slide $200 over here, the deal's done, okay? The league might not like it, but hey.
All right, so the next slot, I'll give it to you. We'll just put, what is this slot technically? RB, wide receiver, tight end?
Yeah, flex spot.
Okay, so we'll give you the check there, Mike, all right?
Okay.
So then you got Mixon versus Jamal Charles.
Joe Mixon starting.
Okay, I'll give you Mixon, and it's
the fact that you're starting Jamal Charles is scaring the audience.
Well, that's to be determined. I gotta look through this. So
keep going. Keep going.
We'll give you that one. So that's Mix. We'll put Mixon. Kelce. All right. So then we got Brandon Cooks versus Demaryius Thomas. I might have to give you the edge on Brandon Cooks. I got to be honest. Oh, no, I'm sorry. We got Odell Beckham versus Kobe Fleener.
Well, you could just say...
honestly,
you could
that's
just say
up for debate.
Odell Beckham Jr. and Brandon Cooks versus Thomas and Fleener. Yeah, I'm going to check Odell and Cooks versus Thomas and Fleener, Dave. I think everyone's in agreement there. If you can find anyone to support your argument that those two players they would rather start this week.
Would it make you feel better if I threw in Kenny Britt instead of Kobe Fleener?
I think Dave's starting to see the ineptitude of his team right now. And the further he goes down, when Dave's oblivious, he doesn't even realize how bad his team is. But now he's comparing player to player, and he's like, oh. I wasn't paying attention to him before, but now I think I understand what he's saying. I have one, two. Okay, I got two good. I got one great player, and then Demaryius Thomas kind of good, and then everybody else.
Oh my God!
About you guys. I hope you guys do real well this week. I know it's in you. I'm rooting for you,
dude. I don't know, man. Kobe Fleener is going up against a Miami defense, right?
Yeah.
Now, how good is Miami's defense?
What option do you think he's there? Because you know what's good about your Kobe Fleener? He might have even better opportunities. He might be open more. He might get less targets because they got a player coming back this week, don't they?
I don't know. Who are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't know.
This is a fantasy football show. I guess I'm finding out too.
See, we forget here.
Oh, okay.
We forget.
I'm not pausing this just so you look stupid.
No, they got the wide receiver come back off suspension.
What was he doing? Drugs?
I think he was doing drugs.
Now, why do you only have a 3-game suspension?
Willie Snead. There we go. Here we go. Willie Snead.
You don't need Snead.
He is questionable, though, with the hamstring.
Yeah, dude, you don't need Snead, man. He's clearly doing something wrong. He's got a hammy. Okay.
He had 72 receptions last year. I think he's going to want to throw him the ball again, especially because he lost his number one option from last year, Cooks.
What about Kenny Britt?
So Michael Thomas, Cooks.
So find me a replacement.
Running back out of the backfield. And then the fourth option, if we want to give it to him, maybe. No, I'd still go Coleman. I'd say Fleener, Kobe Fleener is probably the at best fourth option, but I'm saying
I think Kobe
fifth or
Fleener's
sixth.
I think Kobe Fleener's a number 2 option, bud.
So you're going to Kobe Fleener.
I think Kobe Fleener's a number 2 option
over Michael Thomas.
No, I'm just saying in general. I think
Michael Thomas, Willie Snead.
Yes, I think he's over Willie Snead. Willie Snead, it's like
running backs out of the backfield.
I'm like
committee. Okay, no, just go on. Continue.
Okay, I guess. I guess so. Latest news on CBS Sports right now as I click Kobe Fleener's profile. Saints Kobe Fleener nearly invisible in Week 3. Fleener caught 1 pass and 1 target for 21 yards in Sunday's win against the Panthers.
I'd feel real confident starting him this week, though, Dev.
Hey man, he caught.
If I were to give you advice on your team, I would definitely say, hey, don't forget to start Kobe Fleener this week. I wouldn't want you to lose a close matchup against me.
When I look at this, when I looked at my team, I told you this too. I thought about fucking touchdowns, man.
Touchdowns.
I just thought touchdowns, baby.
And
Kobe Fleener.
For some reason, Kobe Fleener's name popped up in Dave's head.
Yo, dude, he has 2 touchdowns. Game 1, game 2. We're only 3 games in, dude. And last year he had a whopping 3 touchdowns.
So he's almost to his.
He's been targeted 11 times with 9 receptions.
That's a good number. 9 targets, 11 targets. So he's getting what, 4 targets a game almost? Almost. Okay. I'd definitely be excited about starting him.
All right, let me
week in and week out.
Let me click my other sleeper, Marquise Goodwin, and see how he's doing. All right, so Marquise Goodwin's game log: 5.1 points, 5.6 points, 8.2 against the LAR, the Rams. Okay. So look at Marquise Goodwin. Go to his profile. Check it out here. Let's see his game log, his stats. Let's see his targets. Marquise Goodwin has 17 targets, 8 receptions. So that's probably a guy I could replace. Jordan Matthews. How many targets do you think Jordan Matthews have? I'll take a guess. I would say like 7.
I'd say 10.
You'd say 10? I'd say 7. Let's see here. So Jordan Matthews is also on my bench, but I've started 2 guys from one team and then had like an inept offense, and it really kind of boggles my mind.
He's got 11.
Really?
You got it right here.
No shit.
Third in the pecking order there with 11 targets.
You can go by team on that app? How do you do that? What app are you on?
This is fantasysp.com. Just pulled it up, Dave.
No shit.
Thing called the internet, Google. You use the 2, you can find amazing things.
Yeah, who says they trust the list? I know you got your information streamlined, so I don't want to just go shoot.
All right, so for the record, if it's not 11, then this site that I'm using
it is 11.
Incorrect.
It's pretty good. No, you're right on. I'm checking CBS Sports. So then Kenny Britt. I can't wait for you to give me the matchup to whoop your ass. This is going to be freaking great. Stats. 15 targets, 5 receptions. Oh, God.
Yeah, oh, God.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
So,
yeah, but he blew up last week at 14.4.
Again, Dave, your team Don't be like Dave. In the end of the story, guys, don't be like Dave.
If you want to make the playoffs consistently, I guess don't be like me. If you want a shot at it, don't be like. If you want to change coaching stats and philosophies, you want to be like the Bills. Follow fucking Mike, a fellow Bills fan.
Hey, you can't see it, but his whole demeanor has changed once he realized how bad his team is. So,
I'm going to keep Kobe Fleener in there for the fuck of it. Just so...
That's a great idea, Dave. Thank you.
God damn it, dude. Somebody's going to go off today or tomorrow. And it's like, okay, Rex Burkhead, he's injured. Matt Forte's out. My freaking... Dude, you're making me so self-conscious about my roster right now. God.
Hey, Dave.
You might be winning already. I got the Broncos defense. Shit. You got the Bills defense. Shit.
Chris Carson and Braden Cooks.
So look, I guess on paper,
the deal's
you do
there.
win. You do win on paper. You really, fuck. All right, so you know what you do here?
Pull the trigger, Dave.
Here's what you
Carson
do, guys.
and Cooks, and you got yourself.
Here's what you do. Ready?
2 solid starters.
Here's what you do. You go to edit lineup. All right, and you put in.
I'd hit the waiver wire, Dave.
Jordan Matthews. No, I think Kenny Britt is going to go off.
There you go. Well, Dave, any way you chalk it up, you can.
Why am I adjusting my lineup? Because of your peer pressure right now?
Dave, I'm not trying to pressure you
adjusting my lineup
at all.
And I told you to draft the kicker, and you draft Blair Walsh. I said an indoor fucking kicker. That's what kind of friend you are? And then you proposing me some bullshit trade? Like, Blair Walsh. If there's one kicker I probably didn't want was Blair Walsh.
So maybe you should have picked a kicker instead of saying, hey, draft me a kicker. And I'm like, hey, no problem, Dave. Let me do you a favor.
Indoor. I go, yeah, give me an indoor one. Yeah, no problem. So what, there's no more indoor kickers left? Like, I'm going to pick up a kicker on the fucking waiver wire right now.
To be honest, I had a few drinks that night, so I didn't catch the indoor part. Said kicker.
Hey, to be honest, though, Mike saved the draft.
If he wants an indoor kicker, he can drop Walsh right now and picking up an indoor kicker. Let's see if we can find Dave an indoor kicker, because apparently that's my job to help him out some more.
I mean, I'm doing fine. I mean, I just want to hold tight on my lineup, whoop your ass, because your shit looks good on paper. You know what I mean? Who says Jamal Charles ain't going to go? Why the fuck am I starting Jamal Charles? Yo, he's going to go off. That's why.
Yeah, I would definitely start him.
Yeah. I hate you.
Career stat, he is number 1 all-time in NFL history at yards per attempt, at over 6 yards per attempt. So, obviously, it's the smartest play ever. He literally gets the most yards per carry ever. Ever, Dave.
Dude, you're right. I mean, 6
I play him every week, or at least every time you play me.
I mean, he's got it projected to be 7 points. I mean, Jordan Reed is actually bumped up to questionable.
Maybe you should plug him in the lineup too, Dave.
Hey, man, targets. That's all I'm thinking about. I mean,
he might be their number 1 option.
Dude, that's
when healthy.
You got to really look at these things. In a 16-team league. I mean,
honestly, I would, for your team, I would suggest you starting him if he's healthy, because you drafted him high enough. You should start him because he has that ability when healthy. Unfortunately, he's never healthy and never on the field, and that's much like
this
the
guy
rest of
has been injured since like year 2, hasn't he? I don't know.
He's a career injured player. Like that, I would never draft. I wouldn't care if Jordan Reed was available in the 7th, 8th round. And for most of your leagues, he went earlier than that. He probably went around 4 or 5. So, I personally, he's not even on the draft board. He's too much of a liability.
In 2 games, he had 14 targets. 2 games. Only 2 games he played, 14 targets. Averaging 7 yards. 11 receptions. I mean,
probably the number 1 option over there.
But then again, you're talking at 8.6 points, 10.8 points, and it's like, man, to me, fantasy teams are all about consistency. That's why I like Derek Carr. It's all about safe picks, but I can't give up. When you honestly hit me up like, hey, man, I got a trade I think would help us out, I must have been, like, running through, like, rose petals and shit because I thought we were going to help each other out. And they're trying to rate me on my one player.
Hey, Dave.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm trying to give you value. I can't do any better than that. Although, yeah, I would love to be like, here, why don't I just throw in Odell Beckham Jr. and then who else do you want? Who else looks good to you for that player. Pick any two you like. Unfortunately, your player's not worth that much. No player is, okay?
Why do you think Odell Beckham Jr. is going to be doing something this week? Can you make the case for that? Like,
I don't have to make the case for any of the best wide receivers in the league. I don't have to tell you why Odell Beckham Jr. or Julio Jones or Antonio Brown
28.9 points. So he went off.
Or Jordy Nelson. I don't have to sit here and make the case. The reason is they do it all the time. They're the best wide receivers in the league, and it doesn't matter who's guarding them. They still get their targets. They still get the receptions. They still get the yards. That's why. I don't have to defend these guys.
Huh. I can't disagree.
Yeah, I know. It's probably the most sound logic you've heard all day.
18 targets in 2 games. That's pretty. And he had 13 targets last game. And, yeah, he caught 9 of them. That's the one thing with Eli Manning is he's going to target that man. And it's like...
And not only targeting him, but it's going to open up the passing game for everybody else. They're going to be able to move the ball a little bit better on the ground. Even though they can't block, but when you're slinging the ball around, you got to take people out of the box to cover those players. You got Sterling Shepard in the slot, had 8 TDs last year, 130 targets. With Marshall on the outside, his numbers could improve. I could easily see Sterling Shepard going over 1,000 yards this year. He's a wonderful player also on my bench too, Dave. So if you got anybody you want to trade him with, package him in for Hunt for you, buddy.
I think he's trying to pull Hunt off my team because he's scared. That's the only thing I can come up with because he's definitely in the hunt for
It's
Hunt.
called roster construction. So what I'm trying to do with Dave, if you're in a position where you have a lot of depth, you're in a position where every week now you're trying to look at matchups and you're trying to think in your mind, well, who's going to do better this week? Although that can work, and if you got the players, it's nice when the bye weeks come by because you already have that player, but you're always in that position. You're always like, should I play Adam Thielen or Chris Carson? Should I play Adam Thielen, Sterling Shepard? You're making these decisions. If you can get rid of those players that are good, quality players that are going to get targets, they may not have the high-end 30-point games. If you can get 2 players off your team that are good for a superstar, then that's what you do because you don't want to sit there and say, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. You don't want to not know what to do every week for the entire year. If you have 4 superstars or 4 players that are clearly better than everybody else, that's what you want because you're going to play those guys no matter what. You're not going to ever pull Odell Beckham because of matchups. You're not like, oh, they're playing the number 1 defense this week. Got to sit Odell. No, you wouldn't do that. You don't do it for your top running backs. You don't do it for your top receivers. So when you have that depth, don't be afraid to trade it away. Do whatever you got to do. Target someone that's in need. And like I said, I targeted Dave for a reason. He is clearly in need. He's very painfully showed you who he has on his team. He needs players. So to offer him 2 players for 1, although, yes, he's losing the best player in the deal, he's gaining more stability in his overall roster.
So I should give up 401 rushing yards in 3 games, 9 receptions for 137 yards in 3 games, and 6 total touchdowns.
Yes, because at the end of the year, you're right. Kareem Hunt is going to rush for almost 2,000 yards. He's going to have, 6 times? Yeah, he's going to have over 30 touchdowns this year. He's going to break literally all the rushing records because that's what Dave needs Kareem Hunt to do. Like, to keep the value for Dave and where Dave doesn't see the trade. I kind of got
fucked with Johnson going down.
Yeah,
if
unfortunately,
I had
that
Johnson do it, I would be like literally cleaning up. Like, literally cleaning up. It would be game over. And it's like, Kareem Hunt is 48.6 points. I mean, I can't give away my proud pick. Like, that was my proud pick. When I walked out of that draft, I even posted that on Instagram. I was like, yo, I'm really stoked on my draft.
And see, don't be, again,
next game, 25.9 points. Don't be next like game, 28.3 points. I mean, dude, are you serious? Like, how do I give this away? This guy scores more than the 2 players you're going to give me in 1 slot. That is not efficient. Your trade is bullshit. If you could give me Brandon Cooks,
who scored 35 points last week.
Give me Brandon Cooks and a running back that could put up 15 points a game, I'll do it. You can't. Name me one guy on your fucking shit bench that you're going to trade me that puts up 15 points a game. And I got guys I'm mentioning that are putting up 15 or more points a game 2 out of 3 games.
So they're putting up how many points, Dave? So when you took it...
Dude, I didn't know Jordan Reed was going to be out of the game.
Okay, so...
I did not know he was going to be out.
when you have Clay...
CBS sends me an alert when somebody drops a goddamn kicker, but I don't get no damn alert when my home phone should just literally just blow up.
To answer Dave's question,
it should be like...
I think in a PPR league, you can expect 15 points out of game or per game for Chris Carson's going forward because now he's the number 1 guy in the backfield in Seattle.
Should expect. Because he's proven it where?
He's a rookie. He's no more or less rookie than your Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, well, Kareem Hunt has done it. Kareem Hunt is 400 fucking rushing yards. Okay? Like, what? You failed, Mike.
See,
no trade.
What
again? You've had 45 minutes to make a trade.
He needs to take his sample size. He needs to reevaluate it.
We talk about consistency in football. You know what's consistent? Me in the fucking playoffs. Okay.
And right now, Dave, although he doesn't see it, it is a good trade for him. It's a sell high trade.
Win in my division.
Because hypothetically, if Chris Carson or Joe Mixon goes for 20 or more points, and Braden Cooks has another great game,
you're going to have some great value when you hold on to him. You're right.
He cannot
and you can sell him higher.
Trade for those 2 players anymore if Hunt doesn't also get 30 points. So, sometimes you have to sell high. And I have
a feeling I'm going to be getting like Travis Kelce and somebody else for Hunt. I just feel like Odell's coming my way with Travis Kelce and maybe a running back that can put up 15 points for I'll give you Hunt and maybe somebody worthwhile. But until that happens, I can't. You know what I mean? I can't do business because I gotta let my
Dave send that list. You know what they send that list to Santa. Okay, he might bring that for
man,
you.
They talk
Christmas
about
early.
You never want to be a flash in the pan. All right, we got to get the systems down, which is for me the system of at least get the proper lineup in there.
No, and I don't think Kareem Hunt's a flash in the pan. By no means do I think his production is going to come down, but he's averaging over 30 points a game, and that's just not going to happen.
The fact that he can catch the rock, it's just
which is great.
Amazing.
It's great, but his production is going to come down. By the end of the year, if he averages 25 points for the season, that would be great.
Oh, that's extremely great.
Great, but it's not the tear that he's on, which he's not going to continue. I mean,
you just hope about Russell Westbrook, Shady McCoy, Andy Reid running backs. You know what I mean? You just hope.
No, they put up numbers. They do. And the rest of your team does not.
I said it before. Sean and I, he argued with me because he's a Giants fan. We took
Captain, it's time to go.
We took freaking Ray Rice over McCoy.
I'm going down with the ship.
Won the rushing title, and I'm like,
and
still
again,
mad.
Reminiscing in the past.
Still mad about my fantasy losses, dude. And here I am. I think I got a dear friend in my heart trying to win me over some bullshit. So let's go through these matchups real quick. So Mike's got
We already did that.
No, we didn't. We didn't talk about it. So you got for New Orleans at Miami.
The actual matchups. NFL
yeah,
games.
come on, man.
Okay, yeah,
so
points.
You got some. What do you got? New Orleans at Miami.
It's going to be a bounce back game. It's a great game. Start your players from Miami. There's going to be points. Miami, they couldn't stop the Jets, so I don't think they're going to be able to stop Drew Brees. So if you got any player from the Saints, play him. And they don't have a defense over there in New Orleans. You got them Dolphins, play them. Play them all. Lots of points.
Tennessee at Houston.
See, it's an interesting matchup. I don't think Tennessee's defense is good. And Deshaun Watson, I mean, it was an impressive game last week. A rookie, by far the best performance against any team that's ever played the Patriots under Belichick. I mean, he's a rookie. That's the best rookie performance ever. So the fact that he can run around, somewhat accurate with the football, he can make things happen with his legs. I see that game having a lot of points too. Play everybody.
I don't know. Tennessee's a big. I think they're coming up. I think they're for real.
Yeah, and you can see if you watch their games, they're in high scoring games, and I don't think that's going to change this week.
Pittsburgh at Baltimore. Both teams are kind of,
Honestly, this is one of those.
Not good.
It doesn't look like a good game. Pitt on the road, for whatever reason, things don't work for them. And they're on the road against Baltimore.
Le'Veon Bell is just...
Yeah, I mean,
Man.
Le'Veon Bell, you can't sit Le'Veon Bell. You can't sit
you know who did
Antonio
that to me?
Brown.
You know who did that to me for years? Chris Johnson. He came off his 2,000-yard season. I picked him up. I was all stoked. My first year of fantasy football. And for the next 2 years, I picked up Chris Johnson. And it's just like, man, how...
I'm living in the past, Dave.
I know, buddy. I know.
1 year watching him fall to...
Is there anybody you recommend to play between Pittsburgh and Baltimore? I mean, with Flacco?
Well, like I said, depending on who you have to play your best players, but no one's benching Antonio Brown and no one's benching Le'Veon Bell. And even Martavius Bryant, I mean, he's got that potential, the big play potential where, you may want to play him as well, depending on who you have. I'm not saying play him, but if he's the best matchup you have, put him in the roster.
Carolina at New England. We saw Carolina's defense. I think they're for real. If they can get to Brady, which I think they can, watch out for the big plays. I could see Brandon Cooks cutting across. I guess Carolina's playing more man defense.
Carolina's going to get torched, and
I don't think they can put up points. I agree.
Beyond McCaffrey out of the backfield, because I don't think New England's defense is as together as they normally are. Could change this week, but Cam, if he can become accurate, he's been very inaccurate so far, but McCaffrey for them, and then play the Patriots. They're going to put up some points. They're going to have 500 yards offense probably this week, 400. So play them all.
Cincinnati at Cleveland.
This is an interesting game. I mean, you got the 0-3 Bengals versus the Browns. Typically, you'd see a low-scoring matchup between these two, division rival, but I think this week could be different. I'm projecting a mid-20s. I'm not crazy with points here, but someone's going to win this game. It's going to be relatively close. I think the first person hit 24 wins, but, Joe Mixon, this is his breakout game, so you can watch that boy run wild. I'm guessing he's going to get 25 to 30 touches this game. I don't know how they're going to break it up, but he had 21 last week. He had 18 the week before, 11 the week before that. His touches are going up. Hill, he's terrible. If you've ever had him on your roster, he might even be on the waiver wire right now. No one wants Hill. But, yeah, play him.
LA Rams playing Dallas. That should be an interesting game because I don't know what to expect from Dallas.
I don't think Dallas's defense is good. Goff, it's his second year in the league, and he's not the best in the league yet, but he's showing some promise. He's throwing the ball around. He's getting multiple targets involved. He's not keying in on anybody, which isn't good for your fantasy because at this point, Cooper Kupp's had a great game. Sammy Watkins has had a great game. Even Woods just had a decent game last week, going over 100 yards. But he's spreading the ball around. He's taking what defenses can give him. His completion percentage is very high. And obviously, Todd Gurley this year, he came back. He's back. He's doing his thing. I'd play him again for sure.
And that's a shocker because I had this comedian Kevin Elliott on, and he's a Rams fan, and he was saying how trash Gurley was, how much the offensive line sucked, and it sounds like they turned it around.
Well, it's moving the ball around, with the receivers. Like last year, they couldn't throw. It's easy to throw 8 people in the box. They've had to take people out of the box, and Gurley's also getting it done in the pass game.
So Jacksonville at the Jets. I'll say I don't think the Jets are as bad as people think they are. I don't think football teams are really always that bad. And I like to make it seem like the Jets are better. That way I feel better as a Bills fan.
Yeah, that's what I figured, Dave. That's why I called you a homer.
So Jacksonville at the Jets. I hate Doug Marrone, but what if Doug Marrone? I mean, what if Doug Marrone? I really shouldn't disrespect him like that because he's going to punch me in the face, and he's pretty big.
Met him one time.
Dude, how big is he? He's like 6'4", isn't he?
He was sitting down.
And he was taller than you?
No, he was not. He doesn't have good posture, so...
Strangle the fuck out. I mean, no, I wouldn't. No, it's like... Just saying, if the apocalypse happened, you gotta do
the Jaguars have a solid defense. The Jets although they made the Dolphins look bad last week, they struggled against the Bills. Bills, even though they didn't put up a lot of points, they moved the ball a lot. And I see, Fournette handling his business. I see the Jets scoring, but they're not going to score a lot. It's going to be lopsided there in New York.
I don't know. I think, Jacksonville's a team where you see so much talent every year.
Defensive backs are amazing.
Yeah,
They're one of the best tandems in the league right now.
I didn't know Mercedes Lewis still existed.
And that's why I wouldn't play the receivers. It's very inconsistent. But
so
overall,
what you're saying, you would play a tight end then?
I would not play. Even though he had a monster game last week, he did nothing the weeks prior. Honestly, I don't think the guy's even got 12 targets on the year. The production he had last week based on his targets for the year. I mean, it's insane. And for whatever reason, Blake Bortles, when he plays over in Europe, he's like, Tom Brady, but he just can't do it in America.
I don't know.
So,
I think I have to eat crow with Doug Marrone. So it's 3 games in. I like what he's doing with that team. They're playing good. They're playing really good ball.
Run the ball, and you play good defense.
It makes you wonder, because I like to just mention. It makes me wonder. Maybe it was the front office. Maybe Doug Marrone really was compromised during the previous owner, and he didn't want to deal with it with the new one. So, hey, wish him the best, honestly. So I'm a Syracuse fan. It's just I kind of thought that.
I was actually excited to see what he would have done with one more year, because, he did go 9-6 that year. The defense was playing great. The problem that year was the offense. You take the offense they got the following year with that defense, that would have been a great team. But
that's what it's like as a Bills fan every year, Mike.
One or the other. Can't get both here.
So check it out real
Not
quick.
1990.
Because then I want to. So Buffalo at Atlanta. Speaking of the Bills, so who would you play there?
Again, you have to play Julio Jones. You got to play LaShawn McCoy. If he's healthy, Atlanta is very susceptible to running backs catching passes out of the backfield already. They're one of the worst in the league at that, defending against it. And if they're scoring points and the Bills do get behind, which could happen, although the way the defense is playing, it may be a little closer than people are expecting. But LaShawn McCoy, if he's healthy, he should be fine. Julio Jones is still going to get his targets, and one play can make a difference of an entire game. The one concern I have, but again, it'd be hard not to start Devontae Freeman. The Bills' run defense has been stout. It was stout in the preseason, which no one cares about, but now it's been stout for 3 games. So I don't know which room there's going to be, but again, he can catch passes out of the backfield, and you draft him in the first round. You don't bench your first-round pick. So,
Agreed.
I don't know about his production though this week. The Bills could be slowing him down quite a bit.
I like guys who score touchdowns. I think Charles Clay gets a touchdown this week again. You got. If anything, if you have a smaller defense, these guys might be able to cover a lot better. But than you would think, the cover of Charles Clay, who I think is a sleeper. But at the same time, the league doesn't sleep on Charles Clay, so maybe don't take my advice. I just look at it like, okay, well, when the chips are down, who are you going to look for? You got the most chemistry with Charles Clay. They have clearly designed plays for Charles Clay this year. And I want to roll into Denver at Minnesota. I think if you got Matt Stafford, he throws bombs, whoever he's throwing to. I don't know.
In Buffalo, stop giving Fat Tolbert all the goal line carries, because you're really destroying some of McCoy's value, and he's not very good down there. Tidbit for you guys.
Thank you, Mike. It's pretty good.
No problem, Dave.
Don't disagree. Detroit at Minnesota. What do you see there?
Minnesota's got some good defensive backs too. I see Minnesota at home being the better play. I'm not sure what the quarterback situation is there. But
I think Sam Bradford's out this week again.
If Sam Bradford's out, Case Keenum, he actually stepped it up this week. Thielen gets his targets. Diggs gets his targets. Obviously, you got the running back there, and I don't think the defense for the Lions is that great. They've been giving up a lot of points, so I can see starting those 3 guys from them. And, I mean, Golden Tate, running backs over there, I'm not cool with Abdullah yet. He's not very consistent.
I was going to say, they're very inconsistent running backs in Detroit. I have never liked the Detroit running back in a long time.
I mean, if you need a tight end, Eric Ebron, he's still a top 10.
He drops the ball.
Hey, the thing is, if you need to start a tight end, though, in most leagues you do, he still should be starting. It's not like there's inept at the position anyways. I mean, unless you got Kels, Gronk, or Ertz, everyone else is boom or bust, and he's got more value than the most, so play him too.
New York Giants at Tampa Bay. We kind of went over a lot of that, talking Odell Beckham. Obviously, he's going to get targets. Tampa Bay. I don't know what to think with this because I don't know what the Giants really are. We're in week 4. The
Giants kind of have some defense. I think Tampa Bay's problem is they don't. I mean, although Jacquizz Rodgers is all right, he's not an RB1. He should not be team's number 1 option in the run game, which he currently is. I think things can open up for Mr. Winston after Doug Martin comes back, but until then, they're going to be doubling up Evans, who is still a play anyways because he's a beast. You can't guard him. But I think the Giants, this could be, for all you Giants fans out there, this could be win number 1 for you guys. I think you guys got Tampa Bay on a good week. You know, they're still trying to put some things together over there. And I think you can pull out your first victory here and celebrate.
San Francisco at Arizona. I don't even know what to think besides Larry Fitzgerald. I mean, he doesn't die.
His targets. He's an ageless wonder over there. I mean, they got other options in the, like Jaron Brown. He's good. He's been up. I mean, can he keep his consistency up? Scored last week. JJ, but I think matchup-wise, it's a solid play. And, I mean, if you have to play Palmer this week, there's no better week to do it. Carlos Hyde, he's going to do his thing on the other side. I don't think he's slowing down this week.
San Francisco is a team, like, I don't know. They're one of those teams where if you got room on the bench, I would suggest, and you're in a deep league, maybe picking somebody up where later on in the year they kind of come on because you got new systems there. And I think when you got a guy like Hoyer who's can run the offense, Hoyer's not a dummy. You know, he's showing flashes. Obviously, every coach looks at it like, how can I get this out of this player again? And I think that, you know, Shanahan, the Jedi over there, is doing pretty good. So I think San Fran players, like, I look at Marquise Goodwin personally. I think he's a guy that was healthy last season and people slept on him, and he did not get injured at all minus a concussion, and you can't hold it against a player. So
you can hold teams against players, though. When you're on a team that doesn't throw the ball very well, being the third receiving option on that team, it's a hard sell.
Is he still the third? Because going into the season, he was number 2. That's why I drafted him. He was the number 2 option. And the thing is he did catch a lot of balls for the Bills when targeted,
I'm
honestly.
not suggesting anyone.
And he's fast. He's a deep threat.
Pierre Garcon.
He's got big play ability. And if they take away Garcon, he's not big, but we've seen offenses run fine with smaller guys. I mean, obviously
his birthday is my birthday too, but
I mean, hey, Flash Goodwin. So
Pierre Garcon, yeah.
Oh, Garcon. Okay, Eagles at the Chargers, the LA Chargers. What do you see there? You talk Zach Ertz on Philadelphia, tight end.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to see some defensive play. Rivers and the boy, they're not exactly firing on all cylinders yet. And I don't think they're going to get quite on track this week. But they've been close every game. You're going to have a game teens to 20s. It's not going to be too high, but there's going to be some points put up. It's going to be sporadic.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Phillip Rivers is just like, I feel so bad for that guy. Like, what's up with the Chargers? Every year, it's like they get hit with the worst luck. Like, just, they always start off bad. And I think it's like, you talk about with the Bills, a Flutie curse. I think it's the freaking Schottenheimer curse.
They didn't drop the kicker, but I did. Young Koo, however you say his name, he had to go. He missed 2 field goals for me. You know, it could have been the difference. I cut him. Yeah,
we had a mutual friend, Andy Lowry, and I used to date his daughter, and he would rip on me, and he's Mike's pretty much buddy too, like more than that. So you guys were partners.
Yeah, he is a good friend of mine.
Yeah, real good friend of his. Reach around and good friend. Just reaching around a good friend. No, I'm not cutting this. So, anyways.
I'm not cutting this. Good job, Dave.
But Andy used to rip on me because, dude, I used to break it down so serious. I'm like, I think the winds might be heavy. And we want to drop this kicker. And, well, they're kicking it. And he would go, Dave, it's a kicker, man. It's like, I think kickers shouldn't be overlooked.
Young Ho Koo is available. I dropped him and no one's picked him up. So it could be the turnaround of the year. So,
yeah, but dude, I really think a kicker for a team like the Bills, if you have a team like the Bills of years past where they couldn't put up points like years ago, and you know that like they can't just get the job done, but they're going to you got a conservative coach, you got a lame duck coach. Yeah, you take that guy.
Or better thinking is you pick a team that you know is going to score points.
Why?
And you know that they're going to have opportunities to kick field goals because those guys are also good to have. Just FYI. Dave's logic is rather interesting when it comes to player selection. Part homerism is, pretty strong. Homerism, he likes memories. He likes to use the glory days. So between homerism and glory day strategy, that's David's mantra. And when you use that mantra, every now and then your team's going to catch up because, glory days don't last forever for everybody.
All I'm saying is, you got a team where they're scared of their own shadow. They finally cross into field goal position. They're going to go for that 40-yard field goal. They're going to do it because they don't want to look stupid with the goose egg. The coaches have too much ego because you know as well as I do.
Tell that to the Falcons coach.
Oh, jeez. Oakland at Denver, I think, will be a fantasy football thing of points. I think there's going to be a lot of points. A pool of points. Play all of them. If you keep shuffling your feet, I'm going to stab your feet.
It's hard to sit still, Dave.
Well, we only got 2 left, man. So why don't you scratch and ruin the experience for everybody in the background? Mike, why don't you shuffle your feet around some more?
I can do that, Dave.
I hate you. Okay, so Oakland at Denver. What's your thoughts on Amari Cooper? Dude's dropping balls. Allegedly, that's the thing.
If you had him, I'd say I'd take him off your hands, but, he's going to get it together. He's still going to get a lot of targets. I mean, you just have to wait and see. And,
what about Denver? You trust Simeon?
Hey, man, it's early. I got to trust him. He's in the lineup, so.
And you know what's nice about that, too, is every time Simeon gets a reception towards Demaryius Thomas, who is his number 1 target, it just kind of takes out your points. So isn't that a factor?
I don't think it's going to have much of a factor in our matchup, Dave. I feel pretty confident at all the other positions that my players are better than yours. So, next week you can tell everybody how you made the trade after the fact that would have helped you win this week.
Demaryius Thomas gets a lot of interceptions, or gets a lot of touchdowns.
Lots of interceptions.
A lot of touchdowns.
He's probably leading the league in interceptions.
Get a lot of touchdowns.
Roll with that.
And Simeon's going to throw a lot of picks again.
Lots of
like
picks.
A bow tie. How did you not drop Trevor Simeon after last week? Fantasy football advice. You couldn't find a better quarterback than Trevor Simeon?
Dave, it's one game. I mean, I didn't see anyone running to drop Tom Brady after the first week. Like, oh, my God, the sky is falling. Tom Brady didn't put up 25 points this week.
Yeah, no, because I said, Chuck, we're talking about a Hall of Famer versus
Hey, you got to start somewhere. His kid's from Northwestern, smart kid. He'll figure it out. Plus, they were playing that stout Buffalo Bills defense, so how are you going to hold that against them? At least if they were playing some Joe Schmo Cleveland Browns, like you're talking about that Joe Flacco guy, then I'd have cause for some concern. But, I mean, one of the best defenses in the league after 3 weeks. Buffalo Bills.
Mike, I would love to continue with your bullshit, but we got to wrap this up because we have Indianapolis at Seattle. So what are you thinking? The Colts, Seahawks.
It's a breakout game for Chris Carson. They're going to run. They're going to throw. They're going to look like the Seahawks you thought they were.
The running back, Chris Carson.
Yes, the running back, Chris Carson.
You know, we have
breakout
an audience.
game.
A breakout game. Chris Carson.
Here's his breakout game, and no better team to do it against.
Do you notice that Mike only brings up the players he has?
Hey, you gotta amp these guys up. You know, they could have potential value to some of your listeners.
All he does is just plant seeds on players, like Sean planted the seed.
Inception.
Angler. And for 2 years, I picked him up. Or
There you
last
go.
year, he was a rookie.
Aguilar, yeah, he's still available.
Aguilar,
Why don't you go pick him back up,
I thought
buddy?
he was good now.
He was good, was bad. He's not available. He's good, he's bad. I don't think he's available anywhere.
Washington and Kansas City. What's your thoughts on Kirk Cousins?
Kurt. He's Captain Kurt.
What do you think about Kirk?
He's about to roll tide and make those numbers roll. He'll be all right. Captain Kurt. I'm not saying he's going to take him to the playoffs or whatever, but he's going to get a big contract come the end of the year. Wait till those numbers turn around.
So Kareem Hunt puts up 30 points.
There you go.
Trevor Siemian throws 3 picks. Demaryius Thomas gets 4 touchdowns.
The deal's dead. Like, I wouldn't even make the deal with you until you watch them all explode this week. And then
Here's
I'll tell you
how much I care about the deal.
Then I'll tell you can get Doug Martin.
I don't want.
Then you'll be able to get Doug Martin next week.
I don't even want to post our text screenshots about this trade on Instagram to accompany this post because I will.
You can see it said good trade. What do you want? That's what it said. It said good trade. You know, it said good for you, Dave. Congratulations.
Look
you
at
made
people.
A good deal.
People are who they are. You can't change people, and you know sometimes time passes by and people grow into not selfish fucks. Clearly,
yes. I'm modest.
He's a modest, selfish fuck. This is the kind of guy where you ask him, "Hey, your friend wants to borrow $500. Would you trust him? Because I like him. He's a good dude." Yeah, dude.
He got paid back.
Hold on. He goes,
did get paid back.
Yep. Yeah, I would. Okay, well, 2 months after the deadline, Mike, where's your fucking friend here? Where's my 500? Dave. You lended $500 to a compulsive gambler. That's why I called him in the first place, was to find out.
Hey, Dave, let me ask you. Did you get paid? Yeah, that's a yes, folks. He did. He hasn't said it yet, but he
Never
did
heard
get
of the
paid.
word borrow. Okay? I might have made $40 on the deal, okay?
Oh, so now you made money too.
I think I made
So I helped
$40
you
on the
make
deal.
$40, huh? Well, congratulations. So not only
he paid back the last 10 at the fantasy draft, like
no better place or time
4
than
years
now.
ago, he owed me $10 still, and he finally paid it back.
Hey, I probably bought you some chicken wings or something. So there you go. You know what they say? You're never broke if someone owes you money, Dave. So that whole time, you always had something in your pocket. Just couldn't access it, you know? Sometimes you got to just wait till you come of age.
That is Mike Smith. Mike, you have anything else for the people? Do you want to check in weekly, or are you just ditching?
I may come back, Dave. I don't make any guarantees. Busy guy. But I can see myself coming back. Especially after you get destroyed this week and Carson and Joe Mixon have their big NFL rookie debut in week 4. And then everyone's going to be running to the wire. Is Chris Carson still available? No. But his trade value just went up. He'll be there waiting for you, buddy, on the other side.
I just don't know why you would want a Kareem Hunt who's clearly going to fall down in production. You know, like, why
he's going to better my team
that?
because I would know, because I wouldn't be stuck with the situation where I have Adam Thielen.
I think you should be positive about your depth, bud.
I have Adam Thielen, Chris Carson, and Joe Mixon. And I have to choose between those 3. Now, if they were on your team, you wouldn't have to choose. You'd throw them right in your lineup. See, I have to make the choice. So when I have to make this difficult...
I would not put Mixon in over Kobe Fleener.
And that's why you're about to be 1-3, Dave.
Well,
you're going to bench somebody who had 21 touches last week?
Kobe Fleener's going to get 7 receptions and probably a touchdown.
His other mantra, the big dream. You might as well go lay into a pillow.
I dreamed before I knew Shaq Lawson was hurt that pretty much the Bills will get 5 sacks on Matt Ryan, which I really still think could happen.
Hey, I hope they do. I'm playing them. That defense is going to be active this weekend, so that would be great.
That would be great.
I mean, 5 sacks, couple interceptions, so even if they get torched, I still get my fantasy points. You know what I mean?
I will trade a Bills win for fantasy win any day of the week. Any day of the week. Mike wouldn't, but I would.
Yeah, the Bills winning doesn't do anything for me. Although I want them to win, that doesn't help me at all. They're never going to be like, oh, Michael Smith, thank you for being such a wonderful fan. Never going to happen. So, yeah, I would rather my fantasy.
Sign the guy who pulled Doug Marone's playbook out of the garbage at St. John Fisher.
Hey, it could have been memorabilia, okay? Okay, when I was cleaning there, they would throw out a whole bunch of stuff.
I can't, how did Belichick not get that shit just, faxed to him? Like the Bills playbook.
Because I'm not
He's got to have a janitor.
I'm not that corrupt where I would take the playbook to the team I like and ship it off to New England Patriots. I did think about it.
So you may or may not have allegedly called me and go, dude, I'm selling a playbook, and I begged you, dude, don't do that. What are you doing, dude? Don't fucking do that.
I just asked you if you thought it had value. I mean, I thought it had some value.
Oh my God,
this was
but so many years ago. I couldn't believe. I was like, holy shit.
Way to start a monster scandal that never happened in Buffalo, Dave. Good job. For the record, it never happened. So just to let everybody know, it's not why the Bills got destroyed that year. Okay.
What's funny is, yeah. Fuck, man. Oh, dude. All right, well, that's Mike Smith. Again, Grandstand Sports Network. Check it out. numbillsfan.com. And as always, Punch Drunk Sports. And if you want to hear the ads again, go back to the beginning. Have a good one. I'm your host, David Palermo. That's Mike Smith. Say bye, Mike.
Have a good one, folks.
Goodbye. Oops, one last thing. Don't forget, hit me up on NumbBillsFan on Instagram. Email me, David@NumbBillsFan, Facebook NumbBillsFan. Again, send a screenshot over of a review of the podcast up on iTunes or wherever you find your podcast, especially an iTunes review, and you'll be entered into a drawing to win a ticket to fortunately or unfortunately sit next to me at the Bills game. Also, if you go on the NumbBillsFan Facebook page, I just shared a link to says fund the Diaz family from Puerto Rico. If you've seen the Numb Bills fan shirts, there's a great logo on the front of the breast, and Casey Diaz made that. He's a tattooer out of Rochester, New York, at Kamikaze Tattoo in Rochester, New York. So make sure you check him out. Check out check out his artwork, all that. Get tattooed, good tattoos. He's a good dude. He did the artwork for the shirt, helped the layout. Also, his brother, Corey Diaz, is a good friend. They're big Bills fans. Every year they go to a game with their family. And their dad set up a GoFundMe page to help get the family back. I believe to help get the family back. There's a whole description up here. Read more. Help them out. So any additional funds past the goal will be donated right to the Red Cross. So if you can, please get on my Facebook, @NumbBillsFan on Facebook. So NumbBillsFan, Facebook.com, NumbBillsFan. I'm the worst at this. But if you can, click the link. There's already $100 in there now. And, a few people donated. So check it out. Good people, friends of the podcast, and good friends in the punk hardcore community as well. And they have a message to spread, and they do a lot of good things. So please, if you can, help them out. Also, don't forget, make sure you toss a review up, whatever you want. Send a screenshot over. You'll be entered into a raffle to win a seat next to me at one of the games coming up. And I might even give you an option to pick what game you want to go to. So follow everywhere. Tell your friends and family. And I actually have 3 season tickets. So maybe if somebody makes a good enough pitch, I'll give away 2. So you could have a pair, and I'll just sit in my oddball seat. So don't look at me, Mike. I'm not taking you. Because he wants to go for free. He'll drive and pay for parking, which I pay only $10 at 5555 20A. My boy over there, Randy. All right. Take care. Again, thank you for subscribing to this, and tell your friends everywhere if you like it. Thank you for hanging with me. There's a myriad of guests. Sometimes we have a guest like Tim Avery who's going to come review the Bills game tomorrow right after the game, Bills and Falcons. And, if you see Tim Avery in the title line, you're going to get a cleaner podcast. If you see a comedian, you're going to get a guy pissing in a sink. That's just how it's going to go. Okay? So thank you for listening. I'm your host, David Palermo. Mike's shaking his head. Yeah. All right. Good night. Goodbye. Hope you like the fantasy football advice. And Mike will have a Twitter soon. Or else.